Welcome to the Fantasy 40 Podcast with your host, John Dabari.
I mean, I can beat the shit out of Hollywood Brown if you'd like.
Matt Walker.
Like the DK Metcalf of running back.
And Andrew Burke.
I love Hakeem Butler, actually. He's starting to grow on me.
Remember to like, rate, subscribe on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Follow the guys on Twitter at the Fantasy 40. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Fantasy 40 Podcast. We are back. Myself, Andrew Burke, John Dabari, and Matt Walker. Crazy week 5. Tons of high point outputs. I mean, you had Aaron Jones, like Walk said before we started, waving goodbye to them Cowboys on his way to 4 touchdowns. Chris Godwin overcoming Mike Evans as a wide receiver 1 in Tampa. McCaffrey.
Hold on. As the wide receiver 1 overall in fantasy football. So
that
5 weeks.
Yes.
Chris Godwin. Suck it, you Mike Evans truthers.
And
McCaffrey,
I personally feel like has overcome Mahomes in the MVP race, just getting it done. Fournette had a good showing, but there's plenty to get through. Let's start with you, I guess. Walk, you ready to go. What was one of your biggest takeaways in a nutshell from last week?
Far too many. This was like one of the highest scoring fantasy weeks in like recent memory. And I saw a tweet this morning that Christian McCaffrey has more scrimmage yards this season than Ezekiel Elliott and Todd Gurley combined through 5 weeks. He's out of his mind, what he's doing, and he should be in consideration for that MVP race because he's carrying Carolina. But Dalvin Cook continues to do his shit. Aaron Jones, gets the bell cow work, and he's an absolute stud. Let's see what happens when Jamal Williams comes back, because I just do not trust Matt LaFleur whatsoever. He's already tried to screw us over once after a decent start, and supposedly they have concerns that he just won't be able to hold up, I guess because he's been nicked up in the past. But, man, Aaron Jones looked good in that game. 4 touchdowns. He's leading the NFL in touchdown rushes. And then Josh Jacobs and Sony Michel were both RB1s this week. So from a fantasy analysis perspective, I was pretty happy, but I played against just about every big player this week. Caught a ton of McCaffrey, some Thielen, a bunch of Will Fuller. I couldn't dodge those haymakers if I tried. I put up like 230 in Scott Fishbowl and lost.
Yeah, I think mine was like 238 and I still lost too. But John, what was what kind of did all the high point outputs? What was one of yours? Maybe there's something negative to go from last week.
No, just going up, even if you had some of the good guys, you probably ran up against some of the other ones too. Like I had Scott Fishbowl, I had Michael Thomas, who went for like just under 50 something. And I played the Will Fuller team, 70 something, and Scott Fishbowl. And I lost by exactly that margin of like 22 points. It's like, so. Yes.
I played against Baker, Mayfield, and Kittle and had OBJ going into Monday night, and I was up 10 points. Baker Mayfield got 0 points, and I still lost because obviously he didn't do anything. It was Beckham and Kittle had a 30-pointer in the Fishbowl scoring. It was a tough one. OBJ is suffering under this subpar offense.
If you needed Browns points Monday night and you went into Monday night feeling pretty good about it, like I think I only needed 7 points from Nick Chubb in a couple spots, and I did not get them. It was not good to go into Monday night needing Cleveland points.
A buddy of ours and John and I in a different thread needed 0.7 points from Ricky Seals-Jones, and Ricky Seals-Jones got 0. He had a target that was I didn't watch that part of the game. It was supposedly a completion. It got overturned.
Oh, I didn't see that. I saw he did have a target that Baker was escaping the pocket and just launched it 10 yards past over his head. He was wide open.
I read it on Roto-World that it was originally ruled a catch and overturned. Imagine that. I mean, in a PPR, that could have been a 0-yard catch. I don't even know where it was on the field. He wins the game. It got overturned. He lost by 0.7.
A lot of people right there on Twitter had lost on the Beckham fumble on the punt return. They lost.
Yeah, I read something about that.
2 points.
Yeah, he lost 6 yards and fumbled. Yeah. Listen,
Yeah.
players make plays, right?
Well,
Yeah, Monday was not helpful at all.
Bloody
No.
Monday. It was if you were a San Francisco running back owner.
Yeah.
Breda and Tevin Coleman back from the dead had a decent day. He was an RB too. 16 for 97 and a touchdown. They just absolutely obliterated the Browns. That was embarrassing top to bottom.
Yeah, and I wouldn't go panicking. We'll just start there. And for Monday night is Mozart didn't get much work, but they didn't really have to use him in the passing game because they were just pounding the rock. I mean, it was Coleman, and he did not look too bad. So obviously Breedis, give him the spells, but who did look bad to me was Garoppolo. I mean, I want Mullins in there. Damn it! I never thought I'd be saying this, dude. I think he could do a better job, in the passing game. It's just Garoppolo's got happy feet and doesn't look comfortable at all to me.
I mean, it just doesn't look like he's doing anything down the field. I mean, the games that I've watched of his, it's just, he doesn't look comfortable in the pocket, and he's not pushing the ball down the field. So it's limiting some of these long play guys like Debo and Dante Pettis and even Marquise Goodwin. I mean, he has guys that can do it, but it looks like a lot of checkdowns at the running backs and passing it to George Kittle. I mean, that's what I mean. The gist of that passing offense.
At least Mullins would huck it down there to Godwin like 2 or 3 times a game, and I think that opens up the middle for Kittle, and that's not what's happening. But
well, unfortunately, they're undefeated.
Unfortunately,
and I don't think Shanahan gives a shit about them pushing the ball down the field for our fantasy team.
Right, John? Any takeaways from that game, or is there a specific game last week you want to get into before we give the previews?
Not really. I mean, a lot of those huge games are pretty unsustainable. I mean, obviously, if Mike Thomas keeps getting fed by Teddy with the gift, he could continue going forward. But Will Fuller's a boomer bust guy. He had the boom week. Thielen, assuming they're going to keep up the passing game after everybody bitched about it for a week or 2 weeks, Zimmer might keep that going. But other than that, I mean, for the most part, they're pretty fluky and unsustainable, especially the very touchdown heavy ones. I mean, guys aren't going to get 3 touchdowns multiple times in a year. So it's fun for the week, but
your name's Aaron Jones.
That's probably
he's the only one.
Please, fingers crossed that they get right. But yeah,
you named Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen. The Eagles go to Minnesota this week. Adam Thielen's going to be in a wide receiver 1 again this week because you throw all over the.
Unless Diggs bitches all week, he's the squeaky wheel. That could be a big Diggs week.
Yeah. Well, let's go.
Before they trade in Philadelphia.
Let's go ahead and jump into next week. Then, I mean, like you said, there were some huge outputs, and I don't think we'll have a week like that. But who knows? Who knows? The first game is that Thursday night game. We won't go through all of them, but I do want to touch on this and get your guys' thoughts because obviously a lot of people had the 1-0-1 in redraft leagues this year, and last week the videos were coming out of Barkley running with the team. Just looks like a machine. So if you take him as your number 1 pick, which I have him in a couple leagues in redraft, and he says he's good to go, are you going to even think about starting him, though, against that Patriots deep while they're at home on a Thursday night? I'll start with you, John.
The Giants would be stupid to play him. I mean, give him the 1 extra game worth of rest, and he's got 10 days off. Let him get better for those 10 days and get him completely healthy in week 7. So not that the Giants have not made poor decisions in the past, but I would not anticipate him playing. If they do have him active for the game, I would suspect he's going to be a decoy.
We'll walk. So the Giants aren't out of it, honestly, in the NFC East. They've won 2 games. Obviously, they've lost to everyone else, but in the division. But, what do you think there?
Yeah, John's right. There's 0% chance he plays against the Patriots. It's not worth it. I mean, it didn't matter if you had 6 Saquon Barkleys on that Giants offense, you're still not beating the Patriots on Thursday night. So sit them, get them 10 more days in a game that you're not competing against, and let them come back home versus the Cardinals, where it already looks like they're a 5-point favorite at home. So even Vegas is assuming that Barkley's coming back and going to gash the Arizona Cardinals after after the Thursday night game. But yeah, he's not playing. There's no way, which is crazy because Gallman's in the concussion protocol, and there's no way he's clearing by Thursday. Oh. So John Hilleman is their top running back right now, and Elijah Penny, who's a fullback. They have nothing. I mean, Sterling Shepard's in the concussion protocol. He's not going to clear. It's literally going to be pass fest to Golden Tate and Ingram, and maybe a little John's boy Darius Slayton on the deep ball. But Daniel Jones is going to have to throw the ball 50 times in this game because they're not going to be able to run it a lick, and they're going to be down early. So this is going to be a pass funnel game, playing catch up almost out of the gate for the Giants.
And I think Sterling Shepard has been ruled out for possibly multiple weeks already.
He should. He has 2 concussions already this season. Yeah, that's 5 weeks. And the first one, they didn't even diagnose right. He finished the game in week 1.
Yeah,
the you might get IR'd.
Old Puddinhead. That'll do it.
Oh, Jesus. Old Puddinhead. Oh, that's
soup through a spoon. Soup through a straw.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and there's another game across the pond. It starts at 6:30 a.m. I think that's my time, hopefully, because there's no way I'm waking up at 3:30 to watch the Panthers and the Bucks. It's a get-back game because I think the Buccaneers took out the Panthers earlier this season. What do you guys think on this one? Start your studs. There's no sleepers in that one. You know, McCaffrey, Godwin. Do you roll out Mike
Evans? Say studs.
Yeah. Do you roll out Mike Evans? Now Mike Evans is in question. You need to not do anything this week.
Listen, Marshawn Lattimore just owns Mike Evans. It was just real estate in Mike Evans' head, apparently. I think it was like one good game in Mike Evans' career against Lattimore. But still, Godwin is clearly the 1A there. I don't give a shit about the one outlier game from Evans. Godwin is the constant. You have to start Evans. I mean, if you think you have better options. I mean, I guess if you had like a DJ Chark who's been sitting on your bench because you're just like, it can't happen again, and it happens again, sure, I'm starting DJ Chark over Mike Evans 10 times out of 10. But unless you have like a home run option over what Evans can do, I don't know that you can sit him. But yeah, this is fire everyone up. And you're right, 20-14 Buccaneers beat Carolina early. I don't like that they're already playing each other twice.
Right.
In 6 weeks. That's you got to do a little better with the schedule. That's a little. Yeah, so stretch that shit out.
There's a couple times at the end of the year a few teams play twice within like a 3 or 4 week window.
And I would much rather have that because that's going to decide the division. Don't do it so early. If you're going to choose, do it late than early where, you can see kind of how things are stacking up. It's just a wee bit early for to get to your, a division game with an opponent out of the way.
One of the biggest games this week, someone's going to come away with the win. It is the Redskins against the Dolphins. There's lots of stuff on the line here. So like probably the overall number 1 pick.
No, you win. Have
you ever seen Neil? I said that to someone at work last night. I said they're going to both fucking just kneel it down.
It's almost like that South Park episode where the kids don't want to go to the World Series when they're playing baseball. It's like, we don't want to keep playing all summer.
You go. No, you go. I defend.
Dolphins, nothing is coming to mind. Who you want to roll out? Redskins, maybe McLaurin. That's about it.
Listen, if you're ever going to start Adrian Peterson, this is the game. Bill Callahan, first words were, we want to establish the run. It's going to be tough because the Redskins' offensive line sucks, but Miami isn't good. So why wouldn't Adrian Peterson get 25 carries in this glory game? I can 100% see Adrian Peterson putting one more 100-yard, 1 or 2 touchdown game on his resume against the Dolphins. And the Dolphins, I'd consider Preston Williams or Devontae Parker as a flex. I would, because the Redskins, secondary isn't scaring anyone.
That's very true.
Smallwood game.
Maybe.
Your other boy.
Disgusting.
That'd be hilarious. The thing is, it's like if Adrian Peterson runs for like 200 yards, do you even think he gets on the plane, just kicks it in Miami and says, I'm done. That's it.
I earned my check.
Yeah. Saints and Jags. That's a good one. I mean, the Jags have been in every game, since Minshew's taken over for the most part, I guess you could say, at least been competitive. Any concern with your boy Fournette here, John? He's going to get the touches, but is he going to do anything? The Saints defense is pretty stout. They're coming along very nicely.
Yeah. I mean, I like them more. I like this game in Jacksonville better than New Orleans. I mean, for Fournette, I think they will. I think they're going to run the shit out of the ball. And I don't know, I'm still not convinced Bridgewater's good. If that maybe two decent matchups for him. There's a chance, but New Orleans has always been a little sketchy on the road, so give me Jacksonville at home, and I think there will be points to be had here. It's not going to be nuts like that 53 whatever what was that 53-32 Atlanta and Houston last week. It's not going to be a shootout, but this game could easily have 50 total points in it, and Fournette's just getting the volume. So I think he had 7 targets again last week, so he's gonna get the work, so he should volume his way into some minimum low-end RB1 numbers, even if he doesn't get in the end zone again.
2 questions, Walk. What do you think Minshew's done enough to keep the starting job, and what do you do when Foles comes back?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a world where you can pull Minshew until he kind of pulls the ripcord on himself, which is entirely possible. I mean, we're still talking about 4 games, 4-week sample size. He's been extremely turnover prone. I think he's a fumble machine at the end of the day, but he's making them competitive. He's clearly a gamer. The dude just doesn't give up. I mean, even if he, kind of sets them back, he's driving them down the field at the end with a chance to win. And we haven't seen that in Jacksonville in a few years. And to John's point, it's allowed Leonard Fournette to get the volume that he's been lacking in the past because they're always playing catch up. So I don't see how you pull him. Nick Foles isn't a world beater. They paid him a ton of money, but that's water under the bridge now. You can't undo that.
Don't you think it's going to end up depending on what their record is? I mean, they're 2-3 now. What Foles will be back? What, week 8, week 9?
9. I guess he has to miss 8 weeks, right? Did they put him on the IR? So he has to miss 8 weeks, and it happened in week 1. So he has to miss 2 through 9, so 10. So my math is correct. Because he played in week 1.
If they're 5-6 when he comes back, or no, that'd be too many weeks. Whatever, 5-5, or 4 wins, 5 wins.
All right, let's do this exercise real quick before you ask the question. They play the Saints this week.
John said a
50,
win.
50-50. Okay, win. Yeah. Week 7 at the Bengals.
Win.
Week 8 home versus the Jets.
Win. Oh my God.
Week 9 home versus the Texans.
Lose.
All right, so John's saying 3-1, and week 10 they're in a bye. So week 11 they're at the Colts, which I believe is when Foles can come back, and if they go 3-1, they would be 5-4, and probably they would be 0-2 against the Texans, but they would have 4 division games left. Colts, Titans, Bucks, Chargers, Raiders, Falcons, Colts again. So not a murderer's row.
No.
For the Jaguars to go like a 9-7 type season and make the playoffs.
What were you going to say, John?
No, it's not. I mean, these next couple weeks, those are all after this week. It's a hell of a cakewalk. That's a nice schedule.
It really is.
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell could totally suck, and they could win all those games.
Last intel, I guess we didn't give on this game is that's also good for DJ Chark.
100%. I mean, he trusts him. He's throwing him. He doesn't hesitate to throw it Chark's way. And this is a game the Saints should lose. The Saints have won games that they shouldn't win. I still don't know how they won that Seattle game. And then the Cowboys just totally didn't play football 2 weeks ago against them. They beat up on the Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers aren't a good team. They should have lost one of those 2 games against the Seahawks or the Cowboys. With Teddy Bridgewater largely doing nothing to win them those games. It was a lot on their defense. This is a game they should lose in Jacksonville. Like, Bridgewater can't go undefeated as a starting quarterback while Breeze is out. That's not acceptable.
This is the D.D. Westbrook game, because he's going to be in the slot against terrible, what's his name, P.J. Williams, who's dog shit.
So he's bad.
Yeah, he could have a nice little game if you're looking for a guy who kind of fell off the map already. I'm actually wrote that on my sheet here. I'm going to be putting D.D. Westbrook in any DFS lineups I have.
It's funny. I think he was supposed to be a start last week against the Panthers because they're supposedly bad there as well. And I know he had a decent game, but he still wasn't 2-touchdown DJ Chark.
Yeah.
Westbrook actually was wide receiver 19. Finally got 11 targets in the game. Same amount of targets as Chark.
Yeah, so we'll get to the Cincinnati game. Not much there. My only thing, Walker, is I don't know what to do with Joe Mixon, especially in redraft. You're not going to be able to make any trades. It's total you're in a bad spot, especially where you probably took him at the end of the first, early second this year. It's not that I'm giving up, but you kind of have to at this point. I mean, if you have other running backs, I'm trying to think. I mean, even in Eckler, now that Gordon's back, you're still rolling him out. I'm trying to give a better Marlon Mack or Joe Mixon. There's a good one.
You have to go with Mack just because of that line and the division. I mean, for redraft and in Dynasty, Mixon's not going anywhere for me. I mean, in a shit week, and he wasn't any good. He outscored James Conner and Nick Chubb. So I mean, it's not getting touchdowns. He's not getting volume in the passing game, which is blowing my mind. I thought for sure he'd be a 4 to 5 catch a game guy in this offense, and he's not. And it's not like they have superstars on the edges. They don't have AJ Green. They don't have John Ross anymore. Their tight end is non-existent. I don't understand how Mixon's not being used more in like the screen and dump down game. At the end of the day, it's baffling. That's where I thought in a PPR world he'd still maintain value even in a rebuilding year.
It is baffling, and Dalton's being pretty damn efficient actually this year. He's kind of going under the radar. If you need a quarterback for the bye weeks, I'd roll him out for sure. John, on the other side of the ball, the Ravens. Who are you rolling out besides your usual suspects? I know Marquise Brown is getting checked out for injury, so he is a rookie though. And Snead looked good in his role last week.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody sneaky here. I mean, you're going to play the studs. Mark Andrews, if he is healthy. Mark Ingram, obviously Lamar Miller. Or Jesus, I say it every time. Lamar Jackson.
It might as well be the way he's throwing the ball around. Fuck's sake. Goodness gracious.
But yeah, I don't think there's any sleepier type guys on Baltimore, especially this week. They're just going to beat the shit out of Cincinnati. Maybe if they jump up to a big lead, maybe Gus Edwards will get a little work while they give Ingram a little rest.
I was going to say, this is the same when I called the Tony Pollard big game against Miami a few weeks ago. This is a Gus Edwards game as well because Baltimore's 11.5-point favorite. They are not going to want Lamar Jackson throwing the ball this week, even against Cincy. They're just going to go old school and probably run it 40 to 50 times against the Bengals at home. So I could see 15-plus carries for Gus Edwards. It could be a 10-touch Justice Hill game, for Christ's sake. This is where you just look at all those running backs. They could all score touchdowns, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what you call some flex appeal. I do have some concern of this Seahawks Browns game because the Browns do have some solid corners this year. You got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, who have been putting solid numbers out. Obviously, Lockett number one, and then DK's doing his 3 for 54 and a touchdown every other week. Which I'm not complaining. But John, as a resident Seahawks fan, are you concerned with rolling out these wide receivers against the Browns when the Browns are at home this week?
Well, the Browns' top corners haven't played for 3 weeks, so
yeah.
until they're on the field, I'm not too concerned about it.
I mean, even last night they looked good though. The back
they didn't play.
Yeah, they're still out. Greedy and Denzel Ward. Both
been out for 3 weeks.
No.
Yes. Yeah. They've been out for 3 weeks. Both of them.
I swear I saw Denzel Ward last night. I must
have
been drinking too much of that red wine. But
I'm definitely reading here Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams inactive for week 5 on Roto. So you definitely did not. Maybe been someone with the Ward name on the back of their jersey getting toasted.
Must be.
Yeah, Seattle obviously is another team that's a lot better at home than on the road. Cleveland just got embarrassed on Monday, so on a short week, you got to think they're going to change something up and look better. That's the only thing that kind of scares me this week, and then I revert back to the Browns are going to be the Browns, so maybe not. Seattle could go in there and beat the living shit out of them very easily, especially if they play like they played on Monday night. So I am not scared by anything Cleveland here. Best case scenario, this could end up being a shootout if Cleveland does fix some things and the offense starts getting on the right page. Nothing defensively has scared me. I mean, they're going to be able to they should be able to get to Wilson because the Hawks line stinks and Myles Garrett's a monster. But, Seattle wants to run it. They're going to kind of do what happened with who they play last night? San Francisco. They're going to just
Did we see what San Fran just did against Cleveland?
So they're gonna run Chris Carson right at Garrett. I mean, that's the best way to shore up your shitty offensive line against a good pass rush is just run right at him. So they like to run, they'll do it, and Wilson will make enough plays. I think Seattle wins easily, and I could see it be a shootout if Cleveland fixes something in the next couple of days.
All Cleveland has to do is get on Twitter and look at the message Hugh Brown sent them. It's going to be okay. I'm a winner, or whatever he was saying.
Hugh Jackson?
What did I say?
Hugh Brown them. Gets
Hugh Brown.
There is a guy named Hubie Brown. He's an NBA guy, but you're right.
This is correct.
Hugh Jackson, my fault. Why don't
you
jump back in Lake Ontario or whatever the fuck it was, but a walk.
Lake Erie.
I think they're going to run it down Cleveland's throat. It's a short week for Cleveland. I don't care that they're at home. Seattle's just, I mean, we might actually see a little Rashad Penny action in this game if they get out ahead. I just don't know what's going on with the Browns, but some things that just updated on RotoWorld, and we've already touched on that Thursday night game, but just to further amplify the magnitude of this Patriots win, we already discussed how Barkley's unlikely to play. Gallman is ruled out officially, and I just got an update that the Giants are unlikely to have Evan Ingram due to a knee injury.
Oh,
Thursday Night Football. Shepard's out, Gallman's out, Barkley's out, and Ingram's out. Slayton and Tate, no running backs,
baby.
Empty sets, Benny Fowler is going to be a thing.
They're going to have open tryouts.
They cut Benny Fowler.
All right, whatever. They cut TJ Jones too. Who do they have left?
They're going to go for open tryouts this week.
Oh, Latimer. Cody Latimer. There you go. That's the 3 wide sets. Tate in a slot with Latimer and Slayton outside, and a tight end whose name just escapes me, who had some DFS shine when Ingram missed games before. Can't remember his name. There's a tight end.
Here's a question about that then.
It's not Larry Donnell, is it?
Mine is what it might be. Sign him back. Go get Will Tye again.
Oh, shit.
Obviously, they're not talented at wide receiver, but they're going to be down and they're going to have to throw it.
I'm not going to let this go.
Are they going to even get in the end zone? Like, what? How?
Why are we still?
Do you just fade the Giants completely here?
The Patriots defense is going to be a top 5 scoring player again this week.
Put the Patriots D in your super flex spot. Bench a quarterback.
I know, I'm getting sick of that shit. Let's go to the Eagles Vikes. Walk already kind of touched on it about thinking that Thielen's going to have a big game. John, you said something about Diggs. You think he might be the one this week? This is kind of what happened last year. Is Thielen came out of the gates? I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but Thielen
Thielen started super high.
Yeah, no,
I forget what it was like. It was like every week it was 100 and a touchdown for like 6 weeks.
And
might have been 8. Maybe 8.
No, it was unbelievable.
And then Diggs came out, firing at the end of the year. So I think you just still need to be patient with Diggs, hopefully. But Dalvin Cook, start him. But I wanted to get your thoughts real quick, John, on the Diggs-Thielen situation, especially against the Eagles secondary. Obviously, Dalvin Cook might struggle against that Eagles run defense because they've been nothing but short of stout. But what do you think?
I mean, Thielen obviously is a must-play. Diggs, we've talked about it repeatedly. He's just boomer bust, and he's been bust every week. Eventually, he's going to pop. Could this be the week? Sure. Could he also get you 3 points this week? Equally possible. So he scares the shit out of me. This is the first year I've had him anywhere in a couple of redraft leagues, and it makes me sick. I will be staying away in the future. I just don't like him outside of best ball. Too much variance for me.
And then, Walk, I'll go ahead and let you kind of break down the Eagles, but it looks like Miles Sanders is starting to, get more and more work as the season's been going on, kind of like you alluded to at the beginning of the year. Not saying you're the Swami, but...
Isn't it the opposite?
I mean,
he's getting more work in a passing game. Jordan Howard's starting to out-carry him, and that's fine, but Miles Sanders has certainly looked good in the passing game. I mean, he had 4 catches for 49 yards on 5 targets last week, so... throw in the 9 carries, which you didn't do shit with 15 yards. I mean, not like Jordan Howard had a banner day, but their touches were equal. I mean, it's literally 13-13 in touches for the week. And Darren Sproles is injured, and he's not playing. this week against the Vikings. So, I mean, Sanders is going to be that passing downs back for them. Probably get a little Corey Clement, probably. But I think this could be a Sanders game because I don't know how successful Jordan Howard's going to be running against that Minnesota front.
I do see, a little bit of a problem in the Eagles passing game, with Aguilar and Jeffrey, and I don't know, Ertz doesn't seem to be the same where he's, I know everyone's saying he's not worth the value, but kind of like Kelsey right now is struggling as well. Do you think Ertz this is a bounce back game?
It's going to have to be because like I said, I don't think they're going to be that successful running the ball against Minnesota. I think that Wentz is going to have to throw the ball and play the mismatch game. And I think Ertz still is a mismatch. Probably get Goddard more involved. Hopefully Deshaun Jackson's back. This is a big game to get him back so we can get the offense back where it needs to be. Because I'm pretty sure that what's his name got hurt, the top corner for Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. Why am I drawing a blank?
Howard?
From Florida State.
Xavier Howard, no?
Nah, Xavier Rhodes. There you go. You're on Xavier. I think he got hurt. I saw him injured on a play. Hopefully he's hurt. And then we can take advantage of that. But their slot corner's been playing out of his mind, so I don't know anyone that's going to be inside, which is where Aguilar would go to, and he'd just be rendered useless if Djax comes back. So I think this could be a potential higher scoring game than some people think. I don't know what the line is. That's usually more John's thing. 44. Minnesota token -3 at home. That's pretty low scoring. Both do have good defenses. I would expect the over in that though.
Gotcha. I don't know what the line is on this next one, but I expect a good old shootout. We have the Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs got kind of corralled by those Colts last week, at least offensively. But the Texans dropped a 50 burger last week. And we had the patented Will Fuller 1,000,000 yards and 3 touchdown game. Finally, I knew it was coming at some point. So that window's done closed if you wanted it. I mean, Carlos Hyde's still doing his 22 carries for 22 yards and a touchdown, pretty much. Just around that area, but that's just me being sarcastic. But
cycle the game stats.
Let's get some gems here. Do you think DeAndre Hopkins is starting to disappear? I don't know if teams are bracket covering him or what, but I'm kind of concerned.
No, they are. You saw in all the highlights, that pretty much Will Fuller's touchdowns were because DeAndre Hopkins is on the field with him, where he's just pulling the safety and it's leaving Fuller over the top, 1-on-1, and Fuller's going to beat anyone deep with speed. So hoping this is the get right game for Hopkins because, he's been pedestrian for about a month now. I mean, he had a massive week 1 where it was like, oh, here we go, just another huge Hopkins season where it was like 102 touchdowns. And then he's been just so like PPR-ish since then, where it's like I don't think he's crossed 100 yards. I'm not sure he scored a touchdown since week 1. I think he put 7 for 88 up in the game on 8 targets. So a decent game, but not what you expect from a guy that a lot of people thought was wide receiver 1 this year. Hopefully Kansas City holds up their end of the bargain. They've looked a little lost recently, and Mahomes came out and said everyone's playing them man defense and that their guys just can't get off man. So hopefully, if Tyreek Hill comes back, that'll change that situation up a little bit for them. But they're looking mortal, no running game to speak of because they get behind. Mahomes is hobbled with his ankle. I don't know what to make of this game. I'm a little concerned, even though it is in Arrowhead, that it's going to be the high scoring game everyone wants it to be.
Yeah. I can't disagree with any of those points. John, anything to add in that shootout?
No, Hopkins makes me sick. I'll take the full credit for him sucking because I traded Thielen and Galladay plus. Well, I got Hopkins back with picks, so I gave up a lot, and he's done 0 since. So
I feel like we talked about this. I gave up Thielen and a first for Hopkins as well. And that hasn't worked out thus far either. So I guess the 40's to blame.
Yeah, I wonder too, Kansas City coming off the loss. It doesn't scare me as much. Like I feel like they'd come back and bounce back. I think we'll see some fireworks in this one compared to I don't think they're going to play down to the level they played last week. I think they both kind of step up here and give us the game we want to see. Some
Well, I think the irony of it is there's somewhat of a blueprint out on how to beat Kansas City, and it's man defense and run the ball down their throat. Well, Houston can't run the ball. I mean,
Exactly.
It's still been proven that they're going to have to air it out, so maybe that's going to open up kind of that back and forth game that everyone is hoping for. I mean, it's a 55.5 over under. Chiefs are minus 5.5 in the game after watching Houston just hang, as Burke said, a 50 burger on those lifeless Atlanta Falcons a week ago. So people are still trusting Kansas City to bounce back in this game.
And Kansas City's defense is trash. So if obviously this is a great spot for Hopkins to have himself a little get right game. I mean, who's Kansas City's number one? Rashad Breeland. He should have no problems.
You should thrive.
Well, these next, handful of games, I believe there is 6 of them. We got Falcons, Cardinals, 49ers at the Rams. That's going to be a battle. I think not as high scoring as some would think. Titans, Broncos, Cowboys, Jets, Steelers, Chargers, and the Lions, Packers. Couple division games, not a lot. None of them are sexy to me, but any guys in those games that are must starts that aren't, the usual. I'm trying to think.
Atlanta's in a good spot to try to get right, even though it's on the road. Two terrible, stupid Redbird teams. I figure Atlanta should. They've been in the media. Even the owners come out. They know that they look like shit and they're playing terrible. So they have to do something differently, and this is a good match for them to actually do that. Arizona's obviously terrible on defense. Their offensive line is bad, so Atlanta's had trouble getting to opposing quarterbacks. This might be a spot where they might be able to get some pressure and actually get some sacks. So I like Atlanta in this one a lot. But I think it could be high scoring too because Atlanta's played terrible. So if Arizona can run their 6 wide receiver sets and throw up some points too, they can.
Yeah, there's going to be little defense played in this game. The Cardinals technically the better team at 1-3-1 over against those 1-4 Falcons, but Falcons are 2.5 point favorites in Arizona. So yeah, I think this is probably live up to the billing with the 52 point over under. I'm actually going to be starting Kyler Murray over Lamar Jackson this week in a dynasty league that I have because I think Lamar Jackson might throw it 15 times in the game and might run it 6 or 8, and they're going to run it with running backs 50% of the time. Kyler Murray is starting to come into his own, and if he can get that touchdown rate up, this could be a coming out party for Kyler Murray against those Falcons in Arizona. The San Fran Rams game, should have a lot of potential. I mean, the Rams are at home, but we've seen what San Fran's done. They're putting up points on people, which is going to make the Rams have to do it. I don't think they're going to totally shut down the Rams offense like they did the Browns. And I don't know if Brandon Cooks is going to play or not, but Gerald Everett, you said some gems. Gerald Everett's someone that not only should he be a waiver wire target, if there's no Brandon Cooks, he's going to be a fixture in that offense, pretty much as their third wide receiver. No offense to Josh Reynolds, but we've seen what Gerald Everett's doing.
It's after the catch, though, too, man. He looks explosive.
He does. He's kind of that new age tight end where he's just a big wide receiver, but he's fast. I mean, he just needs to hold on to the ball. He has a little butterfingers going on.
First ever draft pick.
Yeah, so I like him a lot in a spot start. I mean, the Denver-Tennessee game is a total afterthought. Dallas-Jets, I mean, that's just a get-right game for Dallas. I mean, even though it's in New York, I mean, I think we're going to see 30 carries from Zeke in that game. Pittsburgh against the Chargers. Welcome Devlin Hodges to the NFL in a primetime Sunday night football game. I mean, the Chargers needed this game badly after they just laid 2 eggs on the road the last 2 weeks. But Pittsburgh's defense is legit, so I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for the Chargers, especially if they keep playing the way they've been playing. They've been a fucking wreck. Like, they can't get out of their way on offense. Their defense is injury riddled yet again. So I don't know that this is going to be a walk in the park for the Chargers. It's just not a game I want to watch. And then Detroit Green Bay on Monday night, that's going to be a good game. I think that could be pretty high scoring because we've seen Detroit can, they can put points up. Stafford's throwing it downfield again to our boy Kenny Galladay, little Marvin Jones. I don't know if Hawkinson will play, but get Kerryon Johnson in the passing game. Going to make Aaron Rodgers have to throw the ball a bit more.
Yeah, and that's going to lead us into our weekly segment where we bash James Conner. I'm getting pretty frustrated, actually. because people are still touting this guy. But I'm looking at his numbers here in a half-point PPR setting, and
He's horrific.
He has 8, 11.5, 5, 22, and 11. So you look at the double digits. I'll just start there. Each one he scored a touchdown in. The 22 game, he had a receiving touchdown, not a rushing. But the numbers are not there. Yeah, 11 for 33 carrying the ball, 14 for 55 this last week against Baltimore. But he got saved by a touchdown. If he didn't have that, he'd have 5.5 points. I mean, people are still, saying he's over 18 overall. It's just, when are they going to give it up? I mean, Jalen Samuels, I don't have his stats in front of me. Maybe one of you do. I want to talk about that, but it's just, I'm tired of hearing this guy's name every time.
Yeah, I mean, in PPR, he's still hanging on the running back 16, but he's ahead of Bell only because he's a game more. Marlon Mack's after him. Matt Breida's after him. Kerryon Johnson's after him. Even Dave Montgomery and Sony Michel way down after him. I'll take any of those running backs easily over him rest of the season. He luckily got 2 touchdowns rushing. One was the 1-yard touchdown after Jalen Samuels PI a few weeks ago, and a second one on the season. Those 2 touchdowns, I mean, propped him up. It's revisionist history. You take them away, he's down to about 60 points scored. He's not even on. He's borderline RB2 at that point in time, and that's where he belongs because he just hasn't been getting it done in this offense. And injuries have happened to a lot of teams. We can't use that as an excuse as to why he's sucked.
One of the weird things with it, though, too, was that game that they finally got Samuels involved in. I mean, obviously we're huge Samuels fans and we're biased, but he looked better. The whole team looked better. The offense looked better. And just scrolling through Twitter the night of that game, anybody who watches football was like, why isn't this guy more involved? So I don't know what the fuck they're doing because they looked, like I said, even removing my biases, which are immense in this situation, they looked way better.
I mean, he unfortunately, Jalen Samuels, threw a terrible interception like early in the game this past week. I think that just kind of said, okay, we're not going to do that wildcatty thing anymore, which is where a lot of his touches came from. Obviously the passes he had against Cincinnati and some of the rushes that he had, were all a product of him getting direct snaps in the game. Now, those 8 receptions that he had, that's where I'm like, where did that go a week later? I mean, maybe you bagged the Wildcat, but he should still be out there catching passes over James Conner.
Agreed.
I mean, there's no excuse for that, in my opinion. It's just like week to week, it's like they're trying to like reinvent themselves.
That's true, especially with the play calling I'm seeing.
Guys out there working his ass off, and Mason Rudolph is taking naps.
Lazy bum.
I don't think he meant to take that nap. That was a rough hit there. Let's go ahead and get to the end of the show, which is our waiver ads or your sleeper starts. Obviously, this guy will be on waivers. I'll open it up, but I expect a big game from him. Finally got off the schneid again this week, but I think Riley Ridley is in for some more work.
Calvin.
Damn, why did I say Riley?
I don't know. When you said Riley, I'm like, where's he going with this?
Go ahead and pick him up for read, and then start his brother, Calvin.
Yeah.
Thanks,
brothers hug.
If you want Riley Ridley, this is the week to get him cheap. He's on the buy.
That's
there
true.
you go.
Thanks, John. You guys always got my back when I say the dumbest shit. Go ahead and start Calvin Ridley. I think he's a must start actually this week against those Cardinals. But that's one of mine. Go ahead, whoever wants to go.
Let's stay in that same game. I'll just go with Chase Edmonds jumping in. He looked good on his 8 touches, his 8 carries, last week. He was actually RB15 on the week. And then I just read a report that David Johnson's back locked up on him during the game. And it's something that they're going to have to monitor going into the week. Johnson looked good himself, but I think against those Falcons, this could be a sneaky Chase Edmonds game. And I'm sure he's out there in a lot of places.
Oh yeah. John.
I don't have too many sleepy guys. I mentioned earlier, D.D. Westbrook's got a nice matchup in the slot against New Orleans. Should be a Gus Edwards game for Baltimore after they jump out to a lead. My undercover man crush Darius Slayton in that first game Thursday. Even with the big play potential, it's hard to imagine him getting in the end zone though against that New England defense. But this week, we're a little spoiled with the huge week a couple guys had last week. I don't see this being a huge offensive week on paper, but I'm also an idiot and I could be totally wrong. So that's the complete opposite. Tennessee, I can't, could we see some Corey Davis?
I think it's the opposite way. That's where I was going to go next is, you got Chris Harris probably going to follow Corey Davis around a little bit. And A.J. Brown's still been doing his thing. Had another touchdown last week. I think Corey
Would
Davis.
you follow Corey Davis, though? Has he done anything to warrant top corner coverage?
No, but
that's what I'm saying. Wouldn't you maybe move that to A.J. Brown, who's had some splash plays in the last couple of weeks? Who's the more explosive guy if you're worried about somebody?
Maybe he doesn't.
Probably Brown right now.
Doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, I don't. But I just
don't trust either of them.
It's going to be 7-13. That game's going to suck.
Well, I'll go ahead and put my money on AJ outperforming Corey this week, but that's it.
I mean, it's literally carrying the lowest over under of the week.
I haven't seen it. Is it 38?
39. Yep. The only sub 40 line on the slate. The Pittsburgh Chargers game is 41.5. Yeah, it's just going to be an ugly defensive game. I don't want to trust much in that game. Start Derrick Henry and start Philip Lindsay. That's literally where it begins and ends. You're not starting those quarterbacks. You don't, maybe Sutton in that game. He's been pretty consistent. Not going to trust any of those tight ends, but it's ugly. But we go back. We talked Tampa a little earlier. Tampa, Carolina early in the season, they gave Peyton Barber all the work in that game. He had 23 carries in week 2 and had 82 and a touchdown against them. That's kind of ebbed and flowed every week. But if history tells us anything, this could be another Peyton Barber game against those Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Take that, you stupid Ronald Jones truth.
Which means Ronald Jones is getting 18 carries.
Yeah.
That's literally what's happened every week. When you pivot back to the other one, Bruce Arians, pulls his candle down, smiles, Riley, and starts, gives the other guy all the work.
I've been pretty quiet about Ronald Jones because I'm scared to get bashed by you guys on the show, but I'm kind of secretly pulling for the guys. Leave Ronald alone.
Listen, you can have him. I mean, he's done just enough that the truthers have come out from under their rock, just to peek their head out to see if it's Groundhog Day again yet. And then boom, Bruce Arians just clubs them over the head, sends them back where they came from. But
it's like whack-a-mole.
Yeah,
the little heads pop up when there's a good game, and then the next week he bashes them with that stupid stuff.
Wacka Jones.
Yeah, and if Devontae Adams' toe's still bothering him, Geronimo's just dropping the ball. I think he is the guy that Aaron wants to throw it to, but it looks like Aaron's going to be losing some trust in him very shortly if he doesn't turn shit around.
Yeah, I think Adams is going to play. Have an extra day to come back. It's a big game against the Lions. Another guy, we talked about the shootout potential in Houston and KC. Sammy Watkins left super early in the game, as Sammy Watkins is wont to do with his hamstring injury. And I forget who it was on Twitter said, you're literally getting a Sammy Watkins season right now. It's, out of the gate, huge. I tell everyone to go suck it. Starts to taper. I'm like, I'm still here. Boom, hamstring, gives you the goose egg. And I'm like, should have known better. But if Tyreek Hill isn't active for this game, which I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything whether he will or won't be. Byron Pringle could be a thing because he will be starting with Mecole Hardman and what's his name? Why am I drawing a blank on the D guy's name? Come on, John, help me. Demarcus Robinson.
I have been a fucking Byron Pringle truther since last offseason. I picked him up this year, and they got some of the injuries early, and he did nothing. They were supposed to be cutting him at one point and then brought him back. So I gave up. I cut him everywhere. So to see his little name pop up on the ticker on the bottom of the TV on Sunday, Byron Pringle, 5 catches, 100. I wanted to bash the TV with a hammer. It made me so sick.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I mean, he literally did that all in like the first quarter. Like he didn't shit.
Making it even worse to me.
Later on, when he got his touchdown, it was Mahomes extended the play, and Pringle just sat down in the end zone. But at the end of the day, 106 for 103 and 1 is still 6 for 103 and 1. And if we're looking at that 55-point over-under against Houston. And if they don't have Sammy Watkins and they don't have Tyreek Hill, we could be talking about Byron Pringle again next week. So there's worse guys that take a shot at, than him. I mean, that's obviously not allowed to happen. I mean, now they got, Damian Williams back. It means Darrell Williams is relegated. LaShawn McCoy didn't get a carry, not one carry. He had 2 catches with a huge fumble, and then he set the pine. Damian Williams took that lead back that roll right back. And Darwin Thompson will not happen this year or likely ever, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the shame. Especially Mahomes. I could see them running the ball a little bit more, just the way Mahomes came up lame in that game. Not his throwing, but he had a bum leg or something. I didn't watch too much.
He re-aggravated his ankle injury that he had been dealing with when one of his linemen, who got totally demolished on a play and hurt his own ankle or hamstring, fell on top of him.
Yeah.
So.
I think coming up in the next few weeks is where we're really going to have to help you guys out, because the bye weeks are getting a little bigger. I know week 7 is a big one for me personally in a lot of leagues. So we'll have some more stuff coming at you that way. You're going to have to be scraping the bottom of the barrel in some of your redraft leagues because all the studs are sitting in 1 week. So next week should be pretty interesting. I look forward to it. Any final thoughts, Walk, before we shut it down?
Yeah, I got a thought. The name who's been escaping me off fucking podcast about the backup tight end for the New York Giants is Rhett Ellison. And John, in Seek and Destroy, he's on someone's fucking team. That's how deep this goddamn 2 tight end league is. That's how deep. Rhett Ellison is not available on the waiver wire for me to pick up and start this week. Get the fuck out of here.
This is what I go through. Look, I do hours of waiver shit. Usually Tuesday nights, I start going crazy Tuesday afternoon, and I spend hours on it. And, I look for some help online, and there's nothing out there for the leagues that I'm in. There's no help for me whatsoever. Like you just said, it's not uncommon. Rhett Ellison is probably 100% owned in my dynasty leagues.
Just in case you guys were wondering, I am 3-0 against my co-host here this year so far. I gave Walker a little spanking this weekend, but just had to gloat a little bit. Walker.
Listen, it wasn't a little one. I mean, it didn't matter that I didn't even crack 100, with such luminaries as Mike Evans, who I hate, giving me a goose egg in my starting lineup. But listen, you put it to me. It didn't matter what I tried to do. It would not have mattered. You had everyone go off. You went with the double Dallas stack, the triple Dallas stack.
Yeah,
I forgot, but Dak, Amari, and Gallup. And then, you sprinkle in a little bit of that running back combo, Dalvin Cook and Leonard Fournette. No beating that.
Yeah, before we close down, you mentioned Dallas, so I got to go there. I think Gallup is a must start if he's on the field, moving forward.
I don't think if he keeps it up, I don't see why they would pay Amari Cooper.
I think you have to have at least another solid receiver there.
No, you're right, but I mean, not at current market costs.
I just think he's a lot. He's like a way better Terrence Williams, a number 2 compliment. When they had Dez there for in his good days, and Terrence Williams would catch a ball in the fourth quarter and not go out of bounds. Fucking idiot. But I think Gallup is just a better Terrence Williams. To complement Amari Cooper. But that's just me.
I just traded a 4th round pick.
I saw
for Jason Witten.
My phone's vibrating. I saw.
Yes, and was that to me?
No, you need to give me 2 for him. I'm trading for Jason Witten in a league.
Oh, I'm not giving you 2 fourths for Jason Witten.
You should have gave me a 3rd, but you traded all your picks, so you have 3 of them.
That's why I'm 9-1. I had to get rid of those picks and stack the team.
And you're trusting Eric Ebron as your tight end.
No.
Form.
Sacrifice your future.
He already did.
It's only 1 year.
Yes, no draft picks the next 2 seasons.
It's all right. I'll get this title.
He's here now.
I am. It's working. 9-1. But all right, that'll do it. I'm going to keep gloating. Team Thanos is dominating. But,
listen, if you want to go out on the gloat, I would be remiss if I didn't do this. Mike Yeck put it to me in my league of record. So kudos to Mike. I caught the old Christian McCaffrey, whooping stick right in the face. coupled with Adam Thielen's get right game and a little early Cooper Kupp on Thursday night. So he
damn
second high on the week. Yeah, there's nothing you can do about those buzzsaws.
I'm sure there'll be
them and move on.
There'll be a tweet coming out later where he tags you in it, and
entirely likely. I did see that he wrote to everyone on the podcast except for me and a bunch of other people asking for lineup help for going into the week, though. So, if for nothing else, that made me smile. He knew how important it was for him to be.
He's a good friend of the podcast. We'll have to have him on this off season and see. I want to hear this guy on the old airwaves. So that'll shut it down for myself, Andrew Burke, the one and only John DeBari, and the one and only Matt Walker. We were the Fantasy 40, and we are signing off.
Peace. He doesn't have to battle with Zay Jones anymore for those 7 targets.
Hey, I'm actually happy for my Zay share. Maybe something will happen.
No, I agree.
Move him to tight end.
Listen, they know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tell him to follow Waller's diet, bulk up a little bit.